I'm going to show where I left off. The bed is 100% mounted. It's solid. I showed you the mounts I built. See them in there. One over there. They're just through bolted. And then I have nuts welded on the inside of that C-channel, so you can just unbolt it and come right out. The front mounts are almost exactly the same, but instead of square tube running down, they're black pipe. And a black pipe was really hard to fill the gap in between the round edge of the pipe and the frame. I don't know, it was just hard for me. I couldn't get really nothing to stick. The black pipe was kind of dirty. I ground it, but like the paint was just like, it was taking too long for it to come off, so I just decided to fire up the old trusty stick welder, and I just kind of attacked it and shot a bunch of fucking weld at it, and it's fucking solid, but it's on there. I also burnt the shit out of myself too. So that's on there. That's also makes it really easy because I can access the back bolts if I just nut and bolted it. But since I welded the nuts on the inside of the C-channel, I could always fucking unbolt it, move the bed off, take it off. That's what the whole plan is for this. So it's serviceable. I measured the gaps here. Everything's level. You can see it's great. And then, well, boom, that happened too. It's a 5.3 from a 2000 Silverado, or actually Sierra, same thing. It's in there. This is an S10 frame, like I said before, 2003 S10 frame, so I bought S10 swap mounts, and it went in there pretty smoothly, but since I'm using a truck pan, the first part, it wouldn't clear. Well, first, I couldn't get the motor high enough with my Harbor Freight engine hoist, so I sliced it, both sides, took this off. I was going to weld it back in, but since I said I want to make everything serviceable, I welded a piece of angle iron there, and then I nut-serted a bolt into this side, and now you can just take two 10mm out and pop that out. So I also had to cut out that mount I showed you, the angle iron with a hockey puck, and then this was welded in there, so it sat right where the crank pulley was. So now, you can see, I don't know if you can see that, the fenders move a little bit, so I have to make a mount. What I was originally going to do was just weld it solid right there to the frame, and then to the support here, and then like box this. But like I said, I want to be able to unbolt it, so I have pieces just cut up, so I'm going to rethink how I was going to do that. And I was saying, it's got a truck oil pan on there. I don't want to buy another one because they're expensive. I had to cut part of the frame that's sits like that, where the brake line runs down the back of the cross member down along it. I had to cut a decent amount end out so it would I don't know if you see, if you can see that. It's very hard to see, but you get the point. It's cut out of the way, and it's sitting in there pretty good. The other part, it wouldn't go in again, so I had to pull off the power steering pulley. This is like 6.5 inches. And when it goes on, it won't go on all the way. It's hitting this nut on the steering box, so I have to get either a different drive assembly, which I don't want to do, or find a pulley. There is a pulley replacement, but it's a little bit smaller, but it's made out of plastic. And a lot of LS guys in S10 say that they shred the pulley and it just explodes on them. I, for one, do not want that to happen to me, so I will not be doing that. I did find a billet aluminum replacement pulley, but it's $90. I might do that. It seems to be an option. Exhaust is on this side. I could probably make something work, but I don't have a transmission yet or in yet, so I don't know how I'm going to route the exhaust yet. This side, the collector hits it looks like it would line up, but the back half from like here back hits the steering shaft. So what I might do is cut it here, and then put like 2.5 inch pipe as like just a round, like collector almost, and then even just put a fucking elbow out of here, out of the side, and either route it through here down the frame or like tight this way. I could probably build that whole manifold, like the 2.5 inch pipe, off the manifold down this way. Don't know yet, don't have a transmission. Looks like there'll be a lot of room. The transmission will be about here, so I could even run the pipe across behind the motor into this collector and just run, or I could do it vice versa, you know, and whatever side has the more room, I could just run a single exhaust pipe back behind the cab. I probably will not run it all the way back because this is a temporary exhaust setup that I would do, because I imagine I will be turboing this thing at some point. Imagine the turbo would sit here-ish back there, maybe off to the side. There is plenty of room, so it'd be perfect to run that pipe this way. I could always just rebuild a turbo manifold for this side and then just down pipe through there. So seems to be the more viable way to do it. Motor sits in there pretty nice, plenty of room. Just got to figure out a belt and pulley situation. Once I get a transmission, I can figure out an exhaust manifold setup. We're going to be working on wiring pretty soon. I'm going to call this week and see if I can't get some steel for the floors. Tackle that. I have to go to a local scrapyard. Well, it's not too local, it's about an hour and a half for me. And they have a bunch of old stuff. I want to see if they don't have a tailgate for a Studebaker. I can maybe get an old tailgate off, say, like a Chevy or Ford, and I could just weld like a dummy panel on the outside of the tailgate where I can cover up the writing for whatever brand it was, or cut that out, and just have an older looking patina style rusty tailgate. And then I could always, I have to chop off the back of the frame here whenever I get that parts, so I know where everything's going to line up. And the tailgate would probably come to about here, and I'd like to build a piece of flat sheet metal, build like a roll pan, and then leave it raw steel and then let it rust up. I think that would be pretty good. And then I could make cutouts for a trailer hitch, or a drop trailer hitch from an S10. I could probably make work down and around, and that'd be pretty cool because I'd like to tow a little trailer with it. And that seems to be about it for now on the updates. I mean, I'm probably sure I'm forgetting something, but I'll be making the mounts for that, for the front of the cab. I'll show you those, and I'll show you whatever I get myself into along the way. I was going to call and get some estimates on some metal this week, but I was just given this big old sheet of sheet metal I could use for the floors. Some bed frame angle iron, and a whole mess of square tube. So that'll be plenty for the rest of the build, I think. Scores.